You call me a nerd again, Cassie, I'll call you an ambulance.
From Castle Rexworth and the Rexworth Estates, I bid you good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. My name is Rexworth, Lord Rexworth, and I welcome you to tonight's stream of Reading ASMR. Alongside me here is Zoe the Demon Fox. We're going to be continuing where we left off with The Realm, A Tale of Blood and Souls, which is a book that Zoe has written herself.
Drag that over there.
I know, Zoe, it's absolutely amazing. It's so cool.
Sorry, I got distracted.
This awkward bit of silence here is,
Welcome to being a VTuber, where if you don't have stuff in the beginning, you'll have it later. And probably still have it later.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Anyways, got some new people here, Zoe. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us about yourself.
I am the one and only Zoe the Demon Fox, Queen of Hell and owner of Club Pact. If you find another Zoe, then they're a liar. I'm the only one and only.
The one and only. Love it.
Multiverse shenanigans.
Club Pact. Tell us a little bit about that. It sounds like a fun place.
'Tis a nightclub that I live underneath.
Oh, you live under a nightclub. That's convenient.
Yes.
Your commute is just a flight of stairs or maybe an elevator. Or lifts, as they call them back home.
Flight of stairs behind a hidden wall.
Oh, is it hidden behind a bookcase?
No, it's just hidden behind a wall next to the bathrooms.
Oh, okay, well, there you go. I mean, at least you know where the loo is. And it's close by, too. What's that?
Entirely self-sufficient.
Yes, exactly. Kind of sounds like something I was talking about with Jen the other night about sort of a dream or fantasy of mine to own a pub and just live upstairs in one of the rooms. Her and me, we manage it, and maybe a couple of our friends.
That sounds fun.
That actually does sound like a lot of fun. I'm sure there's a lot of work involved, but at the same time, there's just... I don't know, there's something about that. I can't quite explain it, but
the only negative I see is trying to sleep while there's unruly drunks just underneath your feet.
Yeah. I don't know, that's what Last Call is for. Maybe hire a couple of big burly men. Or women, you know. We're equal opportunity.
Hire one of each, equal bouncers.
There you go. There you go. Exactly. Alright, that works. Anyways, yeah. Those of you who are new on Zoe's side, I'm Lord Rexworth. I'm an English nobleman VTuber. I'm a voice actor. I'm the narrator on this, and yeah, we've just been sort of going back and forth with the reading of Zoe's book and providing voices for characters, and it's been quite the project, but having a lot of fun here, and we hope all of you have been enjoying it. If you missed any parts, please do go back and watch our VODs of these. Just having a jolly good time doing this. It's been a lot of fun. Zoe is a fantastic writer, and yeah, I've really enjoyed every single session. It's become the highlight of my week.
Go check out youtube.com/Lord Rexworth and youtube.com/Zoe the Demon Fox.
Lord Rexworth VT. Always forget about the VT part. But yeah, you can actually find all links lordrexworth.com. Lordrexworth.com. So, Jen, hello. You settled into bed, love. And Hydrangea Warrior, hello. And Jedi Kid, Raimi. Everybody else, welcome in. Thanks for spamming the quacks earlier. Yes, you are, dear. And now that we're off the Sway stream, I can actually put my foot down a bit more. We don't have to mind the P's and Q's as much as we did there for the sake of sponsors. You are cute. Now be a good girl and take the compliment.
Oh god, he's getting seductive already.
Mm-hmm. Have to with this one. And Resort, welcome in! Guys, for last time, Jen isn't cute. Oh, I know, she's amazing, she's wonderful, she's beautiful, she's gorgeous, yes. And she's my lady.
I'm doing
so
alright,
happy
Victor.
for that. Why, you guys? Well, I do it, Jen, because I love you. We all collectively love you, but me especially. So I'm trying to be funny and as positive as possible. It's alright, Resort.
Bully her with your love.
I always do. Always do. But yeah, anyway, plus I know Jen almost a year. Not cute, no. Yes. Yes, my dear. Be a good girl. Take the compliments.
Ironic, Victor. I too was sick as a dog. But then I decided to be sick as a fox instead. Fuck you, Cassie. It was a good joke.
I thought it was a good joke. Jen, you are very beautiful and rare gem in our eyes, indeed.
If you punch me, Victor, I'll eat your soul.
Thank you. You're welcome, my pet. Good
I'll
girl.
close my window.
Mwah. Don't let anyone say otherwise. Exactly, Resort. Exactly. Right, so tonight we are going to pick up where we left off at a rather abbreviated version of this, only about an hour 2 weeks ago. Apologies for that, I was not at my best with that, and it probably could show through with my performance, but you know what? I'm feeling damn good this week.
Yeah!
And much better than I have been in quite a while. So So, oh, and peek at Twitter when you can, my lord. Yes, my pet.
Oh my.
Oh. Oh, it's the artwork that Rory did for us. Oh, that's perfect. Oh, I've got to retweet that. Hang on.
Cassie, is my music too loud?
Like the caption, I love it. I love it. On a night that thunders, I know you'll be there for me, to let me cling to you in fright, so you can
Asking if
hold
my
me
music
and
was too
call
loud,
me.
Cassie.
Always, my love. Always.
Cassie's trying to foof up everybody in chat. Rexworth is a lore, he's obligated to be distracted.
I have that effect on people.
Yes, he said you're not ready for the floofening, whatever the fuck that means.
Not ready for the floofening.
Is it something related to my tail, Cassie?
I would be ready for the floofening if I knew what the hell that was.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Should I be concerned? Do I need to get the big knife?
It's not going to have anything to do with zombies, is it, Cassie? Certainly hope not. I've had my fill of zombies for a while.
It's related to being Loop, the most terrifying of fates. I see. I am no less confused, but I see.
Funny, it doesn't sound very terrifying.
I see, says the blind man.
Uh-huh. How is it? I'm doing my best to stay away from social media, so I don't want to log in to see it. No, that's understandable, Resort. No, it turned out really well.
I can't stand you, says the guy with no legs.
Oh, that's a good one. That's the guy with no legs. Oh, I love it. Oh. Rather morbid dad joke, but it works.
Dark humor is my favorite thing, so...
Yeah. I had an editor back in my radio days, a news director, who told me one time quite blatantly, you keep your dark sense of humor to yourself, Rex. I later just told him to fuck off. Along with his entire radio station.
Cassie is reminded of videos of someone trying to shake the hands of someone with no arms.
Awkward. Dark humor's the best type of comedy. I mean, it really can be. It's just, you know, sometimes it's like, and it's kind of the point of comedy to sort of, you know, you as much as there are societal taboos, you have to be, there's some things that, it's like, some things you've just got to learn to laugh about and have a sense of humor about. We've forgotten that as a society in so many ways, and it's sad. Based. If a radio station doesn't let you slip some dark humor, then fuck them. Yeah, exactly. Fuck them.
I laugh at anti-humor too, just because it's so fucking absurd.
Yeah.
I think one joke was like, Sally fell off the swing, then she was crushed by a refrigerator.
Oh, God. And you thought you were having a bad day?
Cold-blooded, that joke. Yes, Cassie was very cold-blooded.
I'm glad we got some jokes in, because I hadn't thought of anything funny to introduce. I've not been able to top that introduction from a few weeks ago. I'm gonna have to keep working on it. Somehow.
Didn't even freeze up trying to say it.
Yeah. The ones that get offended by dark humor, I always tell them that's a personal problem. We're here to laugh and de-stress, not cater to your feels. Yeah. Oh, the Nijiros. Yeah, that one. That's my finest out of that one. But, all jokes and kidding aside, we're here to do some reading ASMR. So, what say we get into it, eh?
Aye, aye, Captain.
I think I have one based on recent news. Oh, let's hear it, Jen. Let's hear it. While we wait for it, I'm going to take a bite of my dinner here, which is getting cold.
What you eating?
KFC.
Probably more filling than a random-ass bowl of cereal, but...
Bit more protein packed because of the chicken. Not quite as good as the way it is over in the UK or over in Japan. But it'll do.
Cassie said she had red beans and rice with sausage mixed in.
Oh. Don't mind my other type of ASMR here, chat, the chewing ASMR. Chicken ramen, homemade. Oh, that sounds tasty. Forgot they had KFC in England. Yeah, that's quite good.
Brace yourself, folks. This stream is just gonna be 3 hours of eating.
You thought you were here to listen to a book. You thought wrong. We're eating. Oh, that's a good one, Jen. Alright. Let's try this one on for size. So. Let's see. Alright, chat. Joining me tonight, well, some say that her tail is so floofy it is the only thing that is legally qualified to survive the so-called floofening. And if she were to attend a convention, we can guarantee you that she would at least remain as a guest. All we know is she's Zoe the Demon Fox. Now, how was that?
You can hide so many weapons in this tail.
Pistol, katana, AK-47.
Nuclear charge.
A couple of grenades, satchel charges.
I'm just reminded of that meme where the guy like slaps the top of the car. You can fit so much stuff in this thing.
Anyway, I'll be listening for a few minutes before I head off. I'm being taken out for a bit of window shopping soon. Alright, Resort. Take care. Be safe out there. No, but before I forget, oh, Jen. No?
Cassie.
Alright, Resort. And I do need to give this one to my dear lovely Genevieve here. Little something before bedtime.
Slaps my chest. I can hide so much bounce in these milkshakes.
Did it for you and for content. I squealed. Yes, I'll bet you did, darling. I'll bet you did.
Oh
The
my.
tail is so floofy, I thought it was a squirrel. No, actually, she's a fox, Jedi. She's a fox.
A demon fox, no less.
A demon fox, no less. So don't mess with her.
I'll rip out your soul and put it in my boba tea.
Yeah. Classic example of you fuck around, you will find out.
I have a drawing that someone made for me that is literally like a glass of boba tea just filled with souls. Should find it and show it.
Now serving one grande size, souls of my enemies.
There's also a picture of me that someone drew with a fucking knife taped to my nose.
She's fine. In fact, she most likely is thankful and enjoyed it. Oh yes. Oh yes. One more before you start, hun. One of the ones you've been doing lately where you call me darling. Ah, one of those. Genevieve Vanata. Ara ara. Daisuki. There you go, love. Mwah. Anyway, they're here, so time to hang and socialize. Please save me. Have a fun stream, you guys. Alright, Resort. Thank you. Thanks for dropping by. Have fun.
Here's the boba tea drawing that I was given. I put it on the stream.
Sleeping well tonight. Ah! Let's have a look-see here. Call him a nerd, he'll call you an ambulance. I love that. Alright then. Let's see. Let me finish off this chicken here. Chicken has been consumed. Praying that I have enough Dr. Pepper here to survive the remainder of the stream. Poor biscuit's not going to last the night. Right. Let's get down to it, shall we? Tap the record button here. There's isolated audio tracks of everything. I'm jealous, KFC and Dr. Pepper. Don't worry, love. I'll treat you to those sometime soon. Promise. Ooh. Hashtag not sponsored by Dr. Pepper. I would love to be sponsored by Dr. Pepper. Honestly, if Dr. Pepper were to sponsor me, I would gladly do a handcam stream where I just prepare like Dr. Pepper ice cream floats and
Let's run out and do something real quick, but I'm back now. Hi, Mort.
Everything all right?
Yes, my mom just came in and was like, can you do your dishes real quick?
Oh. Speed run on the dishes, good show.
Well, it was just my cereal bowl and the plate I had my tacos on from yesterday.
Ah. Fair enough. Dr. Pepper Jello's word. Oh, that sounds good.
Dr. Pepper Jello?
I mean, they make Dr. Pepper flavored jelly beans, so
Never had a jelly
not too
bean.
far off the mark. At one point, somebody had this really, really good Dr. Pepper chocolate cake recipe. I actually had it one year for my birthday. It's quite good. I should say gummies. Yeah. Oh, God, those sound good. All right, good night, everyone. Sorry I can't stay for the reading. It's all right, Jen. We know, it's late. It's late. You get some sleep, all right, love? I'll talk to you tomorrow. Mwah. Good night. Send you the video on it if I can find it, Rex. All right. Bet. Love that. I love Dr. Pepper flavored anything. I've got such a sweet tooth for it. It's so good. I mean, no cap. If there's ever an opportunity that I have to purchase Dr. Pepper flavored jelly beans, I have no shame about buying just a huge bag of those at a candy shop. I'm not even ashamed of it. Not even sorry. I'm just like, I love these things and I will buy them by the pound. But I'm weird. We're all weird. You kind of have to be weird to be a VTuber. Crazy? I was crazy once.
Oh god, no.
All right. At long last, we'll get into this. The Realm, A Tale of Blood and Souls by Zoe the Demon Fox. Continuing on, Chapter 53, A Moment Betrayed. It always interested Isaac that Hell's Gate was built atop a cliff whilst Hexad dwelt in a valley. Of course, he'd read far too many religious texts from the mortal world with their strange religious views on angels and demons. He sighed, taking flight towards the keep of Hexad. Best not to keep Petra waiting. The silver angel landed on the steps and walked forward beneath the ornate pillars and pushed the keep's doors open on his own. The guards were missing from their posts outside. Elena had trained them personally. He'd be quite unhappy to hear Petra's royal guard was slacking off. He chuckled to himself as he wandered the pristine halls of the keep. But his humor began to falter as he noticed the utter lack of guards anywhere. Isaac manifested his holy blade and slowed down, rounding the corner to the throne room's doors. The gigantic double doors were closed, but muffled noises came through it. Beneath his helm, Isaac's eyes widened. Callista, you didn't. He sprinted forward and shoved the doors open. Callista swayed idly on her feet, standing next to Petra's empty throne. She was exhausted, bored, and a little pissed off. How long did it take to prepare for the fall of a tyrant? The undead angel was sick of waiting. Today the King of Heaven would fall. Isaac was away on business, and the remaining High Saints were nowhere close to Hexad to stop her. The guards pushed open the throne room's doors, and Petra stepped inside, surveying the empty hall, the marble pillars, the red carpet. He unfurled his 3 pairs of wings and flew over to the throne, turning and sitting down, almost instantly leaning to the side and propping his head on his fist. Callista figured he was bored, too. She never really paid attention during his meetings with nobles and other officials of heaven, but she assumed that ruling a kingdom, especially the way Petra did, must have been tedious. The guards pulled the doors closed again, and Callista began shuffling her feet to get a better angle, her pale fingers clenching round her blade warp wrought. One quick stab and the sudden onset of the affliction her sword was named after could handle the rest. Saint of Decay! Callista paused, suddenly nervous. You are bleeding on my throne again. She looked down and saw her barely held together body was splitting open in a few places. Dark, almost black blood oozed from the wounds. She inhaled, absorbing the blood back into her body and regenerating her opened wounds.
I apologize, my king.
Petra waved his hand dismissively, causing Callista to raise an eyebrow. Normally, he'd yell and rant for minutes at a time about how she should be better at holding together considering the power he'd given her. But for now, he seemed distant and distracted. Callista exhaled softly and slowly maneuvered her blade, ready to shove it backwards, when the throne room doors slammed open and one of the guards staggered in, a sword impaled through his back. He gasped for breath and collapsed. Argos, Saint of Blades, entered the throne room, his cloak ripped, armor dented and spattered with blood, halo cracked, one hip sheath barely held together enough to bear the blade it held. He walked forward with a sneer, extracting his dark iron blade from the guard he'd killed. My king, your guardian has returned. A bit battered, but that is to be expected when one has battled for long with no time for rest. Where in the 9 provinces of heaven have you been, you insolent whelp? Argo stopped his steady pace forward. Wouldn't you like to know? He looked to Callista. Leave us, bitch. Petra stood up. She is my bodyguard. She goes nowhere, Argos. The warrior angel frowned. You replaced me so quickly. You abandoned your king. Argos pointed his mortal blade at Petra. And you failed to protect my sister. She was here in the capital under your protection, and she was stolen away right under your nose by the bitch with the wolf ears. His sword wavered for a moment. I killed her to rescue her. Petra spoke quietly to Callista. Ready your blade, Saint of Decay. He walked forward, down the steps of his throne, and glared at Argos. You blame me for a failure that isn't my own, Saint of Blades. Argos took a step forward. A failure that isn't your own? You dense prick, every failure is your failure. Your kingdom's crumbling around you, and you're too blind to realize. Petra crossed his arms, saying nothing. I've guarded your miserable life for far too long. The Hexawing falls today. Petra scoffed. So what? You intend to kill me? Get in line, Argos. I'm not as blind as you think. There's a rebellion brewing beneath my feet, and a great many people want my head, the Saint of Decay included. Argos smirked. Surprised she hasn't killed you yet. It was the prime time for it. He realized something. But if you die, so does she. Ha! He looked at Callista. Whatever opportunity you're looking for, bitch, it must be important to you. Callista frowned.
Do not pretend to know me, Saint of Blades.
Argos shrugged. Whatever. You can have what's left of him. He began to walk forward as Callista hesitantly stepped in front of Petra. Argos slowed a bit. Ever consider fighting your own battles, Petra? Or you're just that full of yourself that you think someone will be around to protect you every time? Two things happened in quick succession. The first was the sound of shredding metal and tearing flesh as Callista thrust Warp Rot backwards, impaling it into Petra's stomach. The second was the throne room doors slamming open yet again as Isaac rushed in, blade at the ready. Callista! Petra slowly looked down at Warp Rot, impaled through him. He snarled and pushed Callista away, holding his wound and flapping his wings hard as blood spewed and small crystals began to grow. His 6 wings propelled him out of his throne room, crashing through the stained glass far above the high throne. Callista flapped her own rotted wings and gave chase after him, leaving Argos and Isaac. Argos laughed. When you fight your own battles, there's no one to stab you in the back, you bastard. He turned to Isaac. Saint of Justice, long time no see. Argos, I was beginning to think you died. I heard about your trip to hell to try to kill the Watcher. Argos raised his sword. Aye, and what a fruitful trip it was. I'm not just here for Petra, I'm here for the rest of the Saints too. Isaac took a step back, raising his sword as well. What madness are you spouting, Argos? The madness of a man with nothing left to lose. Was offered a deal I couldn't refuse while trapped in a certain labyrinth. The details you don't need to worry your pretty little halo about, because you're going to be dead soon. He smirked. Thanks for not making me have to track you down. Isaac looked around frantically for an escape route till Argos regained his attention. Don't try to run, my friend. Always was faster. If I got to clip a bird's wings to crush it, I will. Argos grinned darkly. You won't get away with this. On the contrary, I already am. Now shut up and die! Argos lunged forward. Chapter 54. The Hell Queen's Humbling. Styx's cabin lay still, darkness filling every room. She rolled onto her side, smiling softly as she felt Evelyn's arm pull her closer. No matter how many distortions attacked or how many sounds she heard, Styx felt safe and warm as long as Evelyn was by her side. The daylight of Lunatus Solaris began to shine gently through the window, and Styx yawned, elbowing the corrupted angel a few times.
Wake up, sleepyhead.
The Fallen mumbled something and rolled over to her other side. Styx sighed and smiled softly, standing up, causing the warpstone light above to bathe the room in its glow. Styx tripped over Phobos' crumpled form on the way to the door and sighed with a giggle. She was still getting used to the fact that although he was active almost all the time, he did seem to sleep every once in a while, usually abruptly with no warning, but never at inopportune times, unless one considered his mental form crumpling in the middle of the room at an inopportune time. She gave the demon a playful kick in the head, knowing Phobos wouldn't feel it while asleep, as his tendrils were retracted, not manipulating the puppet form. From there, Styx lazily stepped over him, glancing at Soulblight leaning against the wall next to Evelyn's spear Pox. She walked out into the hall, stopping next to Oedipus's door, and peeked in quietly. She took a deep breath and closed her eyes tightly, trying to erase the image of a violent distortion, taking the form of Evelyn, blood pouring from empty eye sockets and mouth open in a silent scream. When Styx reopened her eyes, she saw Eddie, sleeping on her back, a paper clenched in her fist, and a hellhound puppy curled up next to her. Styx blinked a few times and slowly closed the door. The puppy wasn't a hallucination. Not a hallucination at all, rather an illusion. Let her have her only friend. Styx sighed, hearing Salem's voice again, speaking quietly to it, as if it would respond.
Ari has me and Evelyn. She's not alone anymore.
Everyone was accounted for and sleeping soundly, so she walked to the kitchen, but startled violently and covered her mouth to muffle her scream as a knock came at the front door. Styx slowly turned towards the door, walking cautiously towards it. She despised answering the door because the worst hallucinations always seemed to strike from behind it, as if the outside was their breeding ground and within the cabin was the only place the weaker ones could breach. It was a weird way to think about it, she had to admit, but whatever. There was no way to get used to the fear if she didn't force herself to handle it. Styx gripped the knob and took a deep breath, swinging the door open. Green and purple eyes widened and blinked several times as she saw Zoe standing shyly outside.
Hey, Styx. Been a while.
Styx was about to slam the door, but Zoe held out her hand.
Wait. I'm not here to hurt you, I promise.
Styx hesitated. She could faintly hear the metal creaks of Phobos waking up back deeper in the cabin. He had manifested in an instant if her life was threatened, so Styx backed away, allowing Zoe entry.
Hey, Z.
Zoe slowly entered and walked over to the couch, facing away with her hands clasped behind her back.
You haven't been to Darkstone in a while.
The Watcher sighed.
I've not been in a good headspace, and also
Jay Trini, hello there. Thank you for the lurk. Hey, how you doing, my lord, Chat and Demon Fox? We're doing all right. Appreciate the lurk. And Ruby, welcome in. Hey, Rex, what's up? Not much. Just doing some reading ASMR here with Zoe. Just got home from work. I'm starving. But definitely settle in, get yourself something to eat, and sit back and relax and enjoy the stream. Zoe nodded and crossed her arms.
I just came here to apologize for how I've treated you for so long and what happened in Guerny.
She inhaled and turned to Styx.
I was always going to brush my own problems off. I think we both knew that. But I always acted so distant towards you and brushed your problems off too. I didn't mean to do that. I've always had a lot on my mind, being an amnesiac queen just...
She shook her head.
Thank you for the raid, Twilight Abyss.
Welcome in, Raiders.
What way a streamin' friend? Oh, Elden Ring. Open world Dark Souls, as I call it. I'm looking forward to the Elden Ring DLC that's coming out. The only mod I use for Elden Ring Twilight is the co-op one that lets you play with your friends and not have to leave them behind at every boss. That isn't an excuse, but I wanted to clarify some things. Way back when you told me you got attacked, I commissioned Soulblight for you because I can't always protect you, and I wanted you to feel safe. I can't even protect myself because look what happened to me.
She laughed nervously, clearly referring to her being overthrown, and many disappearances related to injuries she'd had over the years.
I chose the Scythe for you because, admittedly, I was reading some mortal books and got the idea. You're the Watcher of the River, and the mortals have this imaginary guy called the Grim Reaper. Seems fitting.
Zoe looked away, crossing her arms.
When I stabbed you with Misery's End, I had a flurry of emotions in my mind. I couldn't believe you had betrayed me, but I realized that despite that, I couldn't live without you. Not even mentioning you didn't deserve that fate.
She turned round again, red gazing into purple and green.
Salem was right. I'm not fit to rule over hell any longer. I relapsed into my old self. A side of me that should have stayed dead. I sparked the ancient war, almost started a second war, made hell self-sufficient so I could screw around and hurt those around me, intentionally and unintentionally.
She inhaled.
And here you are. You have the souls of so many people, and you've never hurt any of them. They maintain free will, and they genuinely seem to like you, if Koss and his boys are any indication. I abandoned them in their time of need while Iron Keep burned. I'm not gonna give you my soul sticks, but I'll follow you. That means a lot, Zoe.
A tear came to her eye, sliding slowly down her cheek. Zoe looked towards the couch, noting all of the warpstone fragments around it. She could guess what those entailed, and turned back to Styx to ask, but paused as she saw Styx's expression. Tell her about Evelyn and Erebus. Tell her. Tell her. Tell her. Styx gritted her teeth. Now was not the time for this to happen.
Styx?
Together?
Alright, count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Tell her.
Tell her.
That was
Tell
delayed.
her. Tell her. Tell her.
The attempt was made, but we failed.
I think we had it.
Next time for sure.
Styx held her head, speaking softly at first.
Stop. Please. Shut up. I can't do it yet.
Zoe grew concerned. She recognized that madness. Styx had been struck by the maddening blade at some point.
So this is what Calico meant.
She reached out and gently grasped Styx's shoulder. Styx felt the grip, looking up, her eyes widening as Zoe cackled madly, ripping her own guts out whilst her head shook violently and unnaturally. Styx screamed and turned away, coming face to face with Phobos, a skull in place of his metal head, an evil and severed eyeless head in the cage where his core should be. Styx started to sob. It hadn't been this bad in a while, and she couldn't escape from it. From Zoe's perspective, Styx was just spinning round and crying. She pulled the Watcher into a hug.
I was never there for you before. Let me be there for you now. I can't remember the voice I gave Evelyn.
Maybe just a little octave higher?
Styx, are you okay?
Evelyn's concerned voice breached the hallucination. The distortions faded as Evelyn stepped into her view while she continued sobbing into Zoe's shoulder. Styx pulled out of the hug, wiping the tears from her eyes. She choked out some words.
Zoe, there's something I have to tell you.
Zoe gripped her shoulder.
Don't.
Evelyn hesitated.
Should I?
Zoe smiled and shook her head.
It's clear enough to me. I was never there for Evelyn, but you are. You always have been.
She took a step back while Evelyn hesitantly hugged Styx, pulling her head to her shoulder. Zoe let out a sigh, stuffing her hands into her cloak's pockets.
Listen, and this is for both of you. I said I'd follow you, and I meant that. As a former Queen of Hell, I decree to help you get onto the Obsidian Throne. And as your friend, I make the same promise.
She turned and opened the door to leave, but turned back for a moment.
I still love you, Styx.
She looked at Evelyn.
She seems far happier with you than me. I feel better knowing she's in capable hands. Take good care of her. I will.
Zoe nodded to them both and stepped outside, walking down the riverbank. She began talking to herself.
Once you're on the throne, Styx, I'll exile myself. This realm doesn't need a psychotic, bloodthirsty former ruler inhabiting it.
She laughed softly to herself.
I've always wondered what lays beyond the Stormlands, though. That's where I'll go when it's all over.
Back in the cabin, Styx slowly calmed down and broke from Evelyn's grip, sitting heavily on the couch. Evelyn sat beside her.
Are you alright? I'm not sure. I wasn't expecting her to show up and be so accepting.
She sighed. Evelyn put an arm around her shoulder.
I heard you having an episode, but I didn't want to waltz out here naked. I'm sorry.
There was another knock at the door and Evelyn sighed.
Alright, Calico said she wanted to pick up some stuff. She clearly forgot.
Styx stood up.
I'll get it. If there's something only I can see behind her, I need to get used to it, or I'll always struggle with doors.
She walked over and started to pull it open again. As the door swung open, Evelyn started to get a bad feeling. It was daytime, so why was it so dark behind the door?
Styx? Styx, wait!
The Watcher barely had time to process as a sword launched towards his stomach. But just before it impaled her, a metal claw slammed down on it and shoved it away, nearly knocking away its wielder. Phobos wheezed and laughed, pulling a skull out from beneath his burlap covering. As he shoved Styx away from the door, he wheezed and cackled.
Noxy. Been a long time.
Nox, Lord of Darkness, the dark Saint of Shadows, stepped back from the door. Behind him, Mortis hefted his mace.
Phobos, stand aside.
Chapter 55, Shadowfall.
What do you take me for? A mere pet?
Phobos' wheezy cackle echoed round the cabin as he clanked through the door, one of his metal claws reaching back and slamming the door behind him, a clear sign he wanted Styx and Evelyn to remain safely inside. Styx hesitated for a moment, watching them through the window. Nox was standing back now, whilst Mortis stomped forward and raised his mace to swing. It sparked off Phobos' metal arm as the metal puppet lunged forward to intercept. Styx gripped the wall, then turned to face Evelyn, who had already ran off and returned with a spear and soul blight.
Here, I know there's no way in hell I can stop you from going out there, so we'll just skip that argument. Thanks, Ev.
The door flung open just as Mortis slammed his mace into the ground, Phobos having leapt back, then began crawling around on 3 legs, cackling madly as the skull in his offhand continued to speak.
The only pet is this one.
The armored skeleton snarled as he stood up straight, recovering from his heavy swing. A dark voice, that of a tired king, emanated from him. Coming from a 4-legged animal such as yourself is rather ironic. Phobos cackled louder as he charged in, the demonic ball of energy at his caged core shivering in anticipation. If Mortis could smirk, he would be doing so, as he let his bony arm go limp before quickly beginning to raise it and attempted a shattering uppercut with his bludgeon, but before it landed, Soulblight's blade unfurled into its scythe configuration and hooked it. Styx grunted with effort, working against Mortis's strength, and barely managed to pull him away, unbalancing the skeletal warrior slightly as he turned to face the upstart queen. He chuckled. "I'd expected you to remain inside." Styx managed a small, brave smile.
And let my subjects fight my battles for me? I'm the Queen of Souls. If I'm to be a good ruler, I have to know when to get my hands dirty.
Mortis snarled. "He's about to punch you. Duck." Styx ducked suddenly, listening to the false voice of Salem, dodging the right hook Mortis threw towards her face. A moment later, Evelyn's spear cleaved through his spine, causing Mortis to fall into 2 halves. Almost immediately, bones began to knit back together in Evelyn's side.
Of course I didn't kill him.
Nox let out a sigh, raising Death Coil.
I had hoped not have to dirty my hands, but you leave me little choice, Styx Mierker. Yeah.
An ornate blade of brightest silver with a hilt of blackest night, trailing shadow with every movement, Nox's sword of darkness. As he stepped forward, Phobos got between him and Styx, metal claw already in motion for a devastating blow. Phobos let out a confused wheeze as his claw passed through Nox, as if the robed skeleton weren't even there, as if he were merely a column of smoke. Nox faded into the shadows and vanished. In a few moments of quiet, Evelyn attempted to stab Pox's spear tip into Mortis' skull, but his top half latched onto the hilt.
Fuck.
Evelyn began beating her rotted wings hard, flying upward with Mortis, slowly crawling up the spear as they went higher and higher.
Let go, you stupid bag of bones.
Styx and Phobos quickly looked back at each other, then round, looking for Nox. "Behind you!" Styx gasped, quickly turning just in time to block a horizontal swing from Death Coil. Sparks flew as the silver blade connected with Soulblight's handle.
Impressive.
Phobos began to charge forward, sparks flying as he dragged one claw through the dirt until it gained purchase on a rock. The entire arm let out a concerning creak as it suddenly stopped and rotated the opposite direction on its shoulder hinge, catapulting dirt and debris at high speed towards Nox. Once again, the attack failed as Nox's form seemed incorporeal. Nox took a step back from Styx, unlocking his blade from her side and chuckling.
You cannot harm me physically, Phobos. I have bonded with the darkness. Not physically.
It was almost like Phobos' metal head was sneering.
Still vulnerable. The nightmare.
Nox quickly vanished as Phobos charged him, appearing behind Styx again. Once again, listening to Salem's disembodied voice, she managed to block it just in time, an idea occurring to her. She pulled back for a moment, quickly swinging Soul Blight in its bardish configuration, and watching as she expected as the blade sliced through Nox as if he weren't really there.
You don't listen, do you, Watcher?
Phobos charged forward again, causing Nox to attempt another backstab on Styx, but this time, instead of blocking, she ducked the blade and whirled around, reaching out for Nox's skull. Her fingers managed to find solid as they clasped around the side of Nox's face. Above, Evelyn's eyes widened. She let go of Pox, letting it plummet downward with Mortis still gripping it as she beat her wings flying towards Styx.
Phobos, stop her.
Phobos, too, realized the painful mistake Styx was about to make, but momentum had taken him further than he had wanted. He quickly melted into the shadows, crawling swiftly out of a puddle of blackness near Styx. But it was already too late. Nox and Styx stared at each other for what felt like an eternity, both surprised that the Lord of Shadow had been grabbed. And the next moment, Styx's hand ignited, green and purple flames fighting for supremacy as she attempted to claim Nox's soul. Blue flames ignited as well in Nox's dark eye sockets, and smoky shadow emanated from his jaw. His voice echoed around Styx's head, causing her to wince.
I will not bow to a miserable, broken, misbegotten nobody such as you, Watcher.
Styx Styx could distantly feel Phobos' claw wrapped round her midsection, trying to pull her away. But it was as if she were locked in a dream. Only her and Nox. Enrique, welcome in, my esteemed Lord Rexworth. In the peaceful halls of Castle Rexworth's library, I woke to the enchanting serenade of two voices entwined in delicate harmony. It was a fleeting moment of pure magic, a testament to the timeless allure of our noble abode, and it led me to hear. Good evening, my dear friends. Good evening, Enrique. Welcome in. The Soul Flame's destructive purple gained supremacy over the controlling green.
If you won't bow, then I'll...
She screamed in pain as Nox's bony fingers wrapped tightly round her wrist.
You will not kill me, Styx of Mirka. It'll be I that kills you.
While his voice was calm, it was still echoing in her head, and it held an intense malice just beneath the surface. Styx could not pull away, eyes widening as she watched Nox raise his blade.
I won't let you hurt her.
A purple orb shot out from the cabin's front door and flattened itself, turning vertically and severing Styx's arm, allowing Phobos to finally pull her away, narrowly dodging Nox's blade thrust. Thank you, my lord. Well, you're welcome, Enrique. Always beautiful poetry from you, my friend. As the old arm turned to ash, the stump ignited, and Styx's arm began to reform. Evelyn slammed down to the ground, ducking under a retaliatory swing from Nox before giving her full strength into her wings, a single flap of them pushing Nox back with the force of the wind created. The skeletal demon did not falter, but his sandaled feet slid along the dirt as he raised his offhand to shield his skull. Bobo shoved Styx behind her.
Thank you for the stretch and hydrate, Cassie. Stay.
He charged over to Erebus, cackling.
What in the hell are you laughing at a time like this? Deceit nullifies magic. Catapult?
Oedipus's eyes widened, then she nodded. Phobos quickly grabbed her by her waist and threw her at Nox, just in time as Evelyn was backing up, beating her wings over and over to keep Nox away from her unarmed self. Oedipus hit the ground and rolled, bouncing to her feet, thrusting her sword forward. Nox quickly turned to block the attack.
Erebus, it has been a long time since I saw this form of yours.
Their blades locked. Evelyn took the time to run for her spear. Mortis's top half had crawled away, and she had no idea where, but this wasn't the time to worry about that. Wrong move, Fallen. A mace swing was aimed for her knee, knocking her legs out from under her.
Shit.
She rolled sideways, dodging a heavy slam into the ground.
Phobos, little help.
With Nox blade locked and Phobos and Evelyn dealing with Mortis, Styx was alone. Alone to realize just how cold she felt. How surrounded by shadowy figures she was. Her body began to shake as she slowly walked towards Nox, the soul flame flickering in both her hands. Green and purple danced up and down Soulblight's handle as she approached, and with a final lunge, both hands ignited with a brilliant purple flame.
You will not resist me a second time, Nox.
Phobos could not feel fear, but as a demon well versed in subjecting others to nightmares, he knew what true terror looked like. He saw it on both Oedipus and Evelyn, and even Mortis, despite lacking flesh to make expressions, was given pause as the most excruciatingly painful and unholy screech slipped from Nox's jaw. The feelings it evoked were strong enough to even make the nightmarish puppet feel uncomfortable. Nox had felt his soul attempt to tear itself apart only once before, when Styx had lost her mind and let loose a soul bomb. But this was far worse. And this time, his soul succeeded. The Lord of Shadow felt a large chunk of his very essence simply erase itself. And the rest would have followed were it not for Oedipus and Evelyn physically pulling Styx away from him.
Hey, stop.
Nox stumbled back, his empty skull slowly turning to look at Phobos, before he and Mortis turned to shadow and launched skyward. Phobos's wheezing quieted heavily as he pushed to his full height on two legs and watched the smoky shadows flee back towards Hell's Gate. Nox did not need lips, nor eyes, nor a face at all to show what he was feeling. Phobos already knew that the skeletal dark saint felt terror unimaginable. Phobos crouched back down and plodded over to check on his charge. Evelyn sat on the ground holding Styx's head against her chest, while the Watcher sobbed with her eyes closed tightly, arms wrapped around the fallen. Oedipus stood idly by, partially keeping an eye on the pair with concern, and partially keeping watch for any other developments. Evelyn looked up at Phobos with a nervous laugh.
She's having an episode, but she's okay.
Phobos's head nodded once, before he stood up to his full height again, staring once more towards Hell's Gate.
Name cannot be sent for Nox.
Chapter 56. The Crossroad. The halls of Castle Darkstone were as empty and silent as ever as Zoe slowly wandered through them. Familiar rooms, once favorites, now caused pain to gaze upon. The former ruler of Hell stopped in the doorway of the library, her red eyes slowly looking over the damaged bookcases that had been toppled by Phobos months before. While not big on reading herself as queen, she had frequented the library often with Styx, striving to always have on hand whatever it was Styx was interested in, be it mere mortal fairy tales or history books about heaven and hell. It was here, after regaining her memories, that she happily began visiting on her own, always finding sticks there whilst she recovered from her wounds inflicted by Zoe herself. The fox demon let out a sigh as the memories of a past she couldn't return to slipped like sharpened daggers through her mind. She moved on, wandering past the majestic dining room which once sat multitudes of her followers, and at one time, Kos the Fell-Handed and Olaf the Eternal. She moved on quickly, not wanting to think about how she had abandoned Gedani in their time of need. But most of all, how they rejected her. They were justified. Zoe teleported herself to the throne room and walked along the tattered carpet, ascending the stairs to the obsidian throne and stopping, laying a hand on the armrest. She thought about her last meeting with Styx. Truth be told, she'd always known that Evelyn harbored feelings for the Watcher. Even after that accidental intimate moment, Evelyn had recovered first, filled with shock and horror. Just a moment, Chad. I think something came up on Zoe's end. We'll stand by here for a few minutes. I've got some mac and cheese that's still fairly warm here from KFC. I think I shall indulge in that right now while we're waiting. Oh. You always have good mac and cheese at KFC. One of my favorite sides. Right, chat. Serious question for you. Mac and cheese and green beans? Or mac and cheese and the mashed potatoes with gravy? If you could only choose one combo, which would it be?
I've returned.
Welcome back.
Where'd you stop? On the hay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Despite Evelyn's involvement in her overthrow, there was no one else she trusted more to protect Styx. Mac and cheese and the chicken. Well, yes, of course. I mean, the chicken's a given part.
I have mozzarella sticks.
Ranch or marinara for dipping?
Ranch.
Good choice. Good choice. The mac and cheese getting on the KFC on a plate makes it taste so good. Hell yeah.
What a noob uninstall.
Zoe shook her head slightly, walking behind the throne where an empty scrying pool sat. Her jagged blade Hellbringer manifested in her hand. Using the blade, Zoe slit the flesh of her arm. Over the numb bruise that remained permanent. A reminder of all of the pacts that she had made with the Gedonites. It had been throbbing idly for days. Likely the Gedonites were severing their pacts with her. With her blood, the former queen filled the pool. Just a moment. Sorry, felt a sneeze coming on. There were still threats to the Obsidian Throne and to Hell's Gate itself. She had to locate them so she could better aid Styx in controlling the Dark Realm. The pool's bloody reflection shimmered before shuddering Rise and Da Vinci, still within the Smith Demon's store, working together to create a mighty blade. Zoe squinted at the vision. Noticing Alana and Grimnir were present as well, she wondered what they were up to, but something about the scene put her at ease, ironically enough. Rise, Vince, and Styx were friends, if anything. They would help the Watcher as well. The pool shimmered again, showing Lilith, the dark saint of desire. Zoe was surprised to realize Lilith was in heaven, living within one of the fallen settlements out in the dark steppes. Her surprise increased when a pure male angel stepped into the room where Lilith was cleaning her daggers and kissed her forehead.
Well, look at that.
She smiled a little before sighing. The next vision showed Oedipus in a human form, sitting on Styx's couch and talking to Evelyn whilst Phobos lay in a crumpled heap on the floor, sleeping.
Huh. Maybe I'm crazy. I'm starting to notice a pattern here.
She assumed Styx was deeper in the cabin and quickly changed the vision. After failing to locate Salem, Ignis, and Deimos, she came to the conclusion that they were all dead. Only one more dark saint left besides herself. Nox. As the pool shimmered once more and revealed his location, her eyes widened. He was here, in Darkstone. In fact, he was...
Your Highness.
The fox demon manifested Misery's end, quickly swinging it behind her, but pulling at the last moment. The blade was inches away from Nox's skeletal neck. The robed skeleton didn't even flinch. Zoe furrowed her brow.
Trying to sneak up on me, Nox? One last betrayal in mind?
The skeletal jaw opened and closed. Zoe's arm wavered as she watched Nox's left hand lose its binding, the fingers clattering onto the stone floor below. He chuckled darkly.
No, nothing so crass. Nox.
She lowered her sword.
What happened?
Now that she was focused directly on him, she could tell something was horribly wrong. If the fleshless demon's hand falling apart was an indication enough.
This is my horse. I named him Mayo, and some just a Mayo name. God damn it, Cassie. There is something you should be aware of, my queen. Cagliostro has located a few more of his damnable codexes.
Nox spoke calmly and stepped forward, gripping the scrying pool's rim with his right hand. The blood began shuddering, whilst Nox continued. His empty sockets gazed deeply into Zoe's red eyes.
We have all made mistakes, my queen. Large and small are irrelevant from the facts, but now here we are, and we must do our best to prevent even more. the hell are you talking about?
The blood pool began to shimmer again, showing Calico and Kazakh barricading themselves into an armory in Hexad. Behind them, Irina grasped a green warpstone in a gauntleted fist, looking terrified. The armored metal door shook violently as someone or something sought to gain entry. The pool shimmered again quickly, showing a dimly lit throne room, Petra's throne room. Isaac, bleeding profusely from his back and both wings missing, crawled desperately away from Argus, whilst the Saint of Blades fought off Salonia, the red-headed Saint of Prosperity. The last thing Zoe saw was a look of shock as a blade impacted Salonia's neck, before the pool seemed to zoom out, showing that all of Hexad was ablaze. The capital of heaven was burning. A final shimmer showed Callista, the Saint of Decay, on top of the lighthouse of Purgatus, locked in combat with a visibly injured Petra. The bottom of the pool started to crack as the energy required to maintain those omniscient visions began taking their toll.
Nox, so what in the name of the Obsidian Firm is going on up there?
Nox chuckled, the rest of his left arm losing its binding and clattering to the floor below. He stumbled as a few ribs loosened and fell, and his right knee slumped inward, forcing the weakening Dark Saint to lean more against the scrying pool to keep himself up.
Rebellion. An end of an era. Now look once more, my queen.
A bird's eye view showed two massive armies of Gerenites marching on each other. One led by Kos, those that had sided with Styx against Zoe, and the other led by...
Olaf? What the hell is he doing? Surely he didn't turn on Styx. He didn't. Not willingly.
Nox collapsed to his knees, his hand clasping tighter to the pool as a crack ran up the base to the rim. Blood began draining slowly but surely out of it as the vision showed a sword wielder with demonic horns and a cracked halo.
She is why. She is neither angel, nor demon, nor human.
A harsh chuckle came out of Nox.
You have history with her, my queen.
Zoe stared into the pool, trying to figure out what Nox was talking about.
What do you mean?
She heard loud clattering and looked to the side. Seeing Nox had fully collapsed. All that now remained was a lifeless pile of bones within a set of robes. She hesitated, sighed, then reached into the basin, absorbing the blood back into her body. She could fix the cracks in a scrying pool later. Zoe bent down and picked up Nox's skull.
It's a bit late now, but I forgive...
She paused.
The crown forgives the transgressions of the Dark Saints of Darkness. The Dark Saint of Blood, leader of the Dark Saints, releases you from your service. May your blood...
She stopped again, exhaling slowly. She was going to do this right, and the blood aspect's farewell would not suffice.
May the shadows that you once manifested from wrap you in their cold embrace once again. May the light be frightened off by impenetrable darkness. May the end be a merciful, never-ending void of utter nothing. From the shadows you were born, to the shadows you finally return.
She carefully laid Nox's skull down on his robes, and picked up her swords, biting her lip for a moment.
I get the feeling that a lot of paths are coming to a crossroad, Nox. I have to save Garany from itself, and make sure we all take the right road. Bye, old friend. I'll give you a proper burial when I return. If I return.
She teleported. Without the presence of a living being, the warpstone lights began to dim. Slowly, Nox's remains were cloaked in darkness. Chapter 57. The War of Blood. Snowflakes fell gently as the blue sky above Gerany began to cloud over and darken, Kos trudged through the snow, armor clanking softly, and the runes of his axe glowing brightly, thirsting for battle. The legendary champion of Gedeni stopped suddenly and raised his gigantic shield high into the air. The army behind him, made up of the remaining clans loyal to Olaf and Styx, halted, then began to spread out into haphazard battle lines. Far across the field of fresh snow, the clans that had been waging war on the way to Iron Keep also began to spread out. Kos's eyes narrowed beneath his helm, catching sight of the woman his scouts had reported were leading the traitor clans, and also of his dearest friend and his lord, Olaf. Whatever foul sorceries have befallen you, my king, Gedeni will withstand. Morrigan gripped her sword tightly. She'd been busy, yet although she commanded the immortal king of Gedeni and many clans, they were still outnumbered. Olaf leaned on his sword with a smirk. They outnumber us. Even if we fall today, at least we'll give the Queen of Blood one final show. Morrigan shook her head slightly.
We outnumber him for now. That'll change pretty quickly.
As she quickly looked over at the opposing forces, a doubt gnawed at her mind. The dreams that she had been having, they'd been consistent and annoying, yet she was beginning to think they were memories. If she was right, then her justification for this conflict would be gone. But no, surely Styx was the enemy. She had to be. She was trying to overthrow Zoe again, wasn't she? Morrigan clenched her fist, shaking her head slightly. Once she crushed Kos and united Gedeni under Olaf's banner once more, she could ask the Fox Demon personally. She watched Olaf climb up on a rock and turn to his men. Warriors of Gedeni! Hundreds of years ago we were weak, small, mere fools. Our ancestors hailed from Midheim, the kingdom of the Pact-Breaker. Olaf let out a hearty laugh. We are weak no longer, and we're no longer tied to that damnable kingdom. We are the men of the North, the raiders of the realm. We settled this land when it was green and lush, and when the cold set in, we remained. He raised his sword above his head. Gedeni fought against itself for decades, trying to prove who the strongest was. But then I united our clans. Not to show that I was the strongest, but to show that Gedeni need not fight itself. We are already the strongest, and together there are none that can best us. Gedeni stands as one of the greatest kingdoms in the realm. There were many cheers and battle cries from the men and women gathered and armed. It brings me no joy to face my brothers and sisters of Gedeni like this again. But I united the clans once, and I'll do it again, but not alone, with all your help. The roars and cries grew louder. Olaf still heard above it all. We fight to reunite Gedeni under the banner of the Eternal King. And in the name of the Blooded One, we fight for blood. We fight for Gedeni. Morrigan had to hand it to him. King Olaf knew how to stir up a crowd's bloodlust. Warriors of Gedeni! The sky darkens, and as the sun sets, it'll be a red dusk as we cut this battlefield in blood. The roars grew to a crescendo. Warriors of Gedeni, charge! The battle cry was loud and unending as the clans under Morrigan's control began to charge through the snow. Morrigan herself grew a pair of white-feathered wings and took flight, looking for Kos. If she killed him, subjugating the rest of the clans would be much easier. Before the charge, Kos had been prepared for his own speech. when he saw a figure walking towards him and the harsh stares of his warriors. As the figure reached the front and stepped into view, he frowned. Blooded one, you're either brave or crazy to show yourself here again. Zoe giggled softly, then sighed.
Mostly crazy.
She stepped forward, unarmed.
I made a mistake, Costs. A big one. But we don't have time to talk about that right now. Garany's tearing itself apart, and I'm not gonna just sit by and let it happen. Clans are fighting because of that strange woman.
She pointed across the battlefield. Koss nodded. I came to the same conclusion. All eyes were on Zoe. She exhaled softly.
Whether you accept me or not, I'm going to fight with you to protect Garany. Not as a god, but as a soldier like everyone else.
Koss snorted. We can talk after the battle, blooded one. Zoe stomped her foot on a small obsidian platform raised up.
Your men need a speech, Koss.
She managed a small smile.
Get them riled up.
She could almost feel the smirk beneath Koss's helmet as he stepped up onto the platform and faced his army. Men of Garany, the weather darkens, and murdered crows gather, awaiting a feast of carrion. There's slaughter on the horizon. Our beloved king has fallen to foul sorceries. Has fallen to us to return his mind to him. Many will perish, but do not hold back. We'll cut down who we must, even the king if need be. Garany will be reunited. He looked towards Zoe. Years ago, I promised the god of blood a throne of skulls. Their red echoes still dripping from their shattered eye sockets. Unfortunately, the god of blood is dead. He looked over his warriors. However, I still seek to deliver him on my promise. We will raise a funeral pyre taller than even the packed pillars. We'll spill the blood of our traitorous kin in the name of the god we lost, and pile their skulls to the heavens themselves. Koss hopped down from the platform and pointed his axe at Zoe.
You can't be serious, Koss.
Get up there. Consider it the first step to regaining the trust of the North. Zoe hesitated, then teleported herself up onto the pedestal, raising Hellbringer above her head. She was barely audible above the chaotic din and cries of war, but spoke all the same.
The Bloody One is dead, never to return. But I still intend to spill just as much blood as the rest of you. Garany is the strongest kingdom in the realm for a reason, and we will show everyone that not even a little civil war can destroy us. We fight for Garany, for King Olaf, for Koss, champion of the North. Rise, Garanites!
A chaotic war cry rose, filling the air with the noise of battle. Both sides charged towards each other. This would be a battle to remember. Crossbow bolts and arrows rained down from either side as the marauding clans clashed. Koss cackled madly as he shield bashed a man off their feet before sinking his axe into the skull of another. A sword pierced his side, only making him laugh harder as he swung fiercely, decapitating the fool. Zoe quickly lost sight of him as the barely maintained battle line quickly fell apart. She summoned Misery's End with her offhand and slammed them blade first into the ground, propelling herself skyward over the heads of the Garanites. As she descended, she pivoted one blade backwards and slid through the snow on her knee, spinning round and taking out the legs of those round her, before quickly standing and thrusting forward with Misery's End. Dark red energy flowed along the fissured blade, the warrior that was impaled through beginning to shout as if intensely angry, before suddenly exploding, cascading blood and body parts all around. As another tried their luck, she sliced upward with Hellbringer, splitting the man in two before quickly spinning herself round and curb-stomping the fallen warrior under her boot. The blood that drenched her clothes absorbed through the fabric, invigorating her. She looked up for a moment, eyes narrowing as her sight landed on the angel-demon hybrid woman, floating above the battlefield on white wings and looking for someone. She teleported.
Thank you for the follow, Salvador Senpai. Welcome to Club Pack. Enjoy the chaos and bloodshed that ensues.
Hey, Sal, welcome in. I think this next line's yours.
Amit, where is he?
Morrigan felt her presence suddenly, gasping as she looked up. She had no time to react as Zoe manifested in front of her. The fox demon held a sadistic grin as both blades came down, slicing through Morrigan's wings. As gravity took hold of both of them, Morrigan lunged forward, impaling Zoe on her sword, who only laughed. The former queen let go of one of her swords, throwing a brutal right hook. She faintly heard the sound of glass shattering as she recoiled.
Ow, what the hell?
She cut herself off as she looked back. Morrigan, too, was surprised as they stared at each other. A piece of Morrigan's cheek was gone, transparent blue crystal beneath, and blood leaking from jagged cracks spidering away from the wound.
Zoe?
Zoe felt the connection Nox had been talking about. She knew who... No. She knew what this woman was.
You...
She felt her stomach fill with butterflies suddenly.
Fuck, not again.
They hit the bloody snow amidst the warding raiders. Chapter 58.
Sorry.
What?
I was gonna say a small callback to her falling down that bottomless pit way in the beginning of the book.
Oh. That was a while ago, wasn't it? That's me. Yes, sir. Welcome in. Chapter 58. The Fall of Heaven. Open these damn doors! Muffled yells of angels still loyal to King Petra came through the barricaded armory doors as Kazakh and Calico kept piling whatever they could get their hands on in front of the door. Irina stood terrified behind them.
This is insanity, Kazakh. This is all insanity.
She stamped an armored foot before glancing down at the green warpstone crystal in her hand.
And what?
Calico shoved a chest of swords against the growing barricade, regaining her breath before quickly turning towards Irina.
Because Kazakh can't speak demonic, and I don't know the ruins where we need to go. When Evelyn became a fallen, for a brief moment, she could speak perfect demonic. It has to be you.
Kazakh nodded with a sigh before bracing himself against the barricade and turning his armored helm towards the Saint of Battle. You may lay all the blame with me for this, Irina. Isaac and I tried to plan for every eventuality, but Argos's return to heaven was the last thing we could have ever predicted. This armory must burn, else this rebellion against Petra will fall faster than Alexandria's did during the Hidden War. Irina's fingers clenched slightly around the crystal. She looked towards Calico and bit her lip.
After I fall,
Calico gave a reassuring smile.
nothing will change, Irina.
She walked over to the pure angel and grasped her shoulder.
With the new reign, the fallen will be treated as equals once more, just as demon and humankind were equals to us before the Ancient War.
The barricade trembled as the angels on the other side battered against it. Irina flinched before inhaling hard and crushing the crystal. She gasped as an entire language was implanted into her mind. As the dark words spilled from her mouth, a rift opened, Hell's Gate visible on the other side.
Quickly.
Kazakh nodded, raising his axe as a golden light ignited along the blade. First the arms must burn. Calico and I will catch up. Irina hesitated before nodding and stepping through the rift. Kazakh lit a blazing inferno in the corner that began to swiftly spread through the armory as he stepped towards the rift. Calico did not follow. He stopped. I know there will be no convincing you. Do what you must, but be careful. He stepped through without waiting for a response. Calico hesitated, watching the rift close before summoning a new one, watching the armory burn around her.
Try.
She stepped through. Blades sparked in the darkened throne room as Isaac and Argos collided again and again. Isaac flapped his wings hard to gain some distance, but that distance was quickly closed again by Argos lunging forward. The fallen Saint of Blades grinned. Come on, Isaac. Just accept your fate. You and I both know you don't stand a chance. Argos swung both of his swords downward. Isaac raised his own to block, eyes widening in shock beneath his helmet as Argos's blade sliced through the silver metal of order, Isaac's angelic blade, as if it were butter. Isaac fell to the ground, his wings severed, and blood began to pool underneath them. He bit back a scream and turned over, desperately trying to crawl away, broken hilt still in his hand. I'm going to enjoy this. Argos slowly walked forward. Above, glass suddenly shattered as Silonia dived towards Argos. He cackled as he swiftly turned and parried her spear away. You fools are making my job so much easier. Silonia, leave! Now! After the dive bomb failed, Silonia flew back a bit and gripped his spear tightly.
I can't do that, Isaac. I am this high saint of prosperity, and I must do my duty.
Her face was grim as she landed and got into a fighting stance. Argos sneered. And yet where were you all these years, little bitch?
Someone had to keep the lighthouse of Bragatis lit so Petra wouldn't have an excuse to attack the fallen settlements.
Argos nodded slowly. So under orders from Kazakh, then. To think so many of you were planning to overthrow my departed liege under his nose. Not that I care anymore, he snarled. I'm only here to kill you and Isaac anyway. Now die! He lunged forward. Petra flew as far as his 3 pairs of wings could carry him to the last bastion of light in a land of darkness. Just in time, he reached the lighthouse of Pergatus as his wings gave out and he fell, rolling across the flat marble top and coming to a stop on his stomach. Groaned angrily as he pushed himself to his knees, feeling warpstone growing out of the wound Callista had inflicted upon him. A light clacking signaled Callista's landing on the tower as well. She gripped Warprot tightly and watched Petra carefully. The King of Heaven laughed. So this is it, Saint of Decay? Callista nodded her head subtly.
I made a promise that I would kill you, and using the power bestowed upon me as a high saint, I have survived far longer than I was ever meant to achieve that goal.
Petra chuckled and groaned in pain as he pushed himself to his feet. The everlasting storm of the dark steps drew in closer around them as the lighthouse weakened and snuffed out. Rain began to fall, and chaos rang out in the city far below as the fallen and those allied with them quickly overtook the loyalist. Petra clenched his fist, golden flames surrounding them. This is no longer a battle for survival. If I kill you, your damnable blade has already delivered its fatal payload. He smirked. Yet if you strike me down, the blessing I gave you will fade with me, causing your own body to finally succumb to the rot that should have killed you long ago.
You're right, but either way, my promise will be kept.
Another angel landed next to Callista, metal wing clicking idly, and a vine-twisted blade in a grip.
Morgan?
Morgan smiled sadly.
You think I'm just going to sit back and watch my beloved fight the Tyrant of Heaven on her own? Besides, it wouldn't be a complete fight without your old blade. Twisted Twilight has been waiting for this moment for a long time.
Morgan got into a battle stance. Petra let out a strained cackle. If you are quite done! Both Angel's eyes widened in shock as Petra reached behind himself and, visibly pained, ripped his 6 wings off one at a time. As blood dripped from his back, he got into a brawler stance. Come then, little angels! Come and die at the hands of King Petra Hexawing! As freezing rain began to pound the tower and lightning arced across the sky, the battle commenced. Calico gripped her sword tightly as her rift brought her just outside the throne room of Hexad. As she entered the immense room, she noticed the diminishing light and the various trails of blood. Before her lay a wingless angel, face down in a pool of blood and covered in stab wounds. Flipping him over, she gasped slightly, seeing the bloody eye sockets crushed inward by strong thumbs.
Music.
Calico stood suddenly as she heard armored boots approaching. She turned and came face to face with Argos. The corrupted saint chuckled, one sword sparking along the floor as he dragged it, his other hand chucking a severed head with red hair forward. It rolled for a few feet. Calico gritted her teeth, looking down at Salonia's face, expression frozen in pure terror, even in death. Calico closed her eyes for a few moments and took a soft breath before opening them again. Yellow stared into faded green.
As he said, I feel bad for Rexworth's throat every time it notices Petra about to open his mouth. You've become quite the monster, Argos.
He shrugged, unsheathing his mortal blade and dual-wielding again as he got into a battle stance. I'm just following orders. That's all I was ever good for. Guardian of the Tyrant. Now attack dog for the listener. He smirked. Besides, I've been enjoying my task. Kill the High Saints. By my count, all that's left is you, Kazak, and Elena. He pointed his blade slightly towards Isaac. These two couldn't beat me together. So what are you gonna do to me, Raven Queen?
I am no longer the Queen of the Fallen. I am the High Saint of Change.
Calico brandished her sword.
The way I see it, there's no better angel to put you in your place.
Argos' stance faltered as he laughed out loud, bracing himself on his sword. I seem to recall very easily slaughtering you in the steppes, bitch. What chance do you stand against the Saint of Blades?
Well, I can't die, so I have that going for me.
Let's see about that. Argos sneered as he beat his wings and lunged forward, both swords swinging from the same direction. Calico barely managed to raise her own sword in time, blocking the strike and bracing herself against the flat of the blade for the extra leverage. Her feet slid along the blood-soaked ground, but she managed to stay standing. As Argos landed and recovered, she threw a swing of her own, although it was quickly deflected with one sword, whilst the other lunged forward and impaled her. Argos' strength allowed him to lift Calico slightly off the ground, as she coughed up blood and dropped her own sword to grip the one running through her. Argos cackled darkly. Don't worry, Calico. Cagliostro taught me a little trick. I'll rip your soul in two and we'll see if you can reincarnate after that. He lowered her back onto her feet and started to pull his sword out, eyebrows raising as the fallen grabbed the blade and pulled it back into her all the way to the hilt. She smiled slightly.
You know the true reason I can't die, Argos?
Something about her calm tone unsettled him. I could care less, bitch! He swung his other blade, but it collided with nothing. She was gone. What? As he quickly spun round to find her again, she appeared behind him and grabbed his shoulders, spinning him around, then headbutting him. Her yellow eyes glowed faintly.
You can't kill a dream.
Argos's vision faded to black rapidly. When he could see again, he was still standing, but his arms were chained taut to the floor. He snarled, looking round, yet the darkness was all-encompassing, only a small circle of light around him. Below his feet, the tattered red carpet was enough of a tell for him to know he was still in the throne room. Calico stepped out of the shadows in front of him, the raven crown hovering above her head.
Every angel that falls gains a demonic aspect.
She slowly circled around him. You think I care, you bitch? You think even these chains can hold me? He followed her with his gaze, unable to turn around but still remaining confident.
For the longest time, I couldn't figure out what my aspect was.
While she circled and spoke, Argos was reminded of a time months ago when he had circled Styx like prey on the dark steps. He saw Calico entering his vision again out of the corner of his eye. But when he focused, it wasn't Calico, but Leda. Her head barely attached, and her eyes empty sockets. She smiled.
My existence is tied to the belief of angel kind. As long as they believe in the good I was trying to accomplish as a Raven Queen, you can't kill me.
Argos yelled and snarled. You dare use my own sister against me, you whore! He practically began to foam at the mouth, eyes bulging out of their sockets as he watched Leda reach up to her head and begin pushing on it, her very skull starting to grotesquely cave in from the pressure. Just kill me already, you psychotic bitch!
That'd be too easy, Argos. Death would be a mercy. How about a nightmare?
She whispered into his ear before stepping away. Darkness consumed him again. But when he could see again, he was chained to the center of the ring of fire he'd fought Leda in, forced to watch a nightmarish version of himself slaughter her over and over again. He fell silent.
Since you killed my body, I'm going to take yours. But don't worry, your soul will be trapped in this nightmare for eternity. Enjoy witnessing the moment you regret the most over and over and over again.
Argos began to scream loudly again, fighting fruitlessly against his bonds. I'll kill you, you fucking bitch! I'll show you a real nightmare! Calico held her head as she slowly got to her feet, watching her original body turn to ash. Before sighing softly, before unfurling her wings and taking flight out of the throne room.
He was right, Callista and Petra are already gone. I need to gather my followers.
Let's see how long this next chapter is. Zoe, I've got bad weather that's actually heading my way. It sounds like it's fairly bad. I don't know if the electricity and the internet are going to hold out for it.
You want to stop here? We're like basically 2
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah, well, I think it's close enough. We'll go ahead and call it at 2 hours. We'll pick this up next week. Sorry, everybody, but inclement weather in my part of the world. Moving in, I don't want the internet connection to just go out on us. So yeah, we'll go ahead and cap it off here. The VOD will be uploaded on my side and on Zoe's side here after stream, and of course you can catch the VOD on Twitch. And also VOD's uploaded to YouTube. Are you gonna keep going after this, or do we need to find somebody to raid?
I'm gonna go raid somebody.
Oh, okay. Who are you planning on raiding?
Don't know. Let's see who's around.
Alright.
I think Razor's playing Hell Divers.
Oh,
I thought he was.
Yeah, that's right. I think so. Let's see. Razor. I see Diamond is streaming tonight as well.
We could raid Diamond.
I'm not seeing... Yeah, why don't we do that? Let's see, it looks like they're having D&D night?
Nice.
Tabletop RPGs? Cyberpunk Red! Oh, that sounds like fun. Let's see. Oh, and Scarlett and Sasha also joining them. Oh, it does look like fun. Okay. Then I'll go ahead and get everything set up on my end. Let's see. Raid. Diamond does 320. Raid has been created. Okay, excellent. Right. We'll pick this up next week. Copy pasta is posted on my side. And, yeah, I'll see everybody tomorrow on the Sway Gaming channel for my debut with them. So do make sure that you're tuned in for that. But for now, I'm Lord Rexworth. Wishing you all the best, and God bless. Zoe?
Alright, club patrons, send all the cheers and shit for your diamond, and you'll see me tomorrow on Razor's podcast.
Good night, everyone.